The secret science behind why your kitten only eats from the bowl center. Have you ever watched your kitten do something so strangely specific that it almost looks deliberate, like walking over to a full bowl of food, sniffing it carefully, and then eating only from the exact center while leaving a perfect ring of untouched food around the edges? At first it seems adorable, maybe even a little weird. But what if I told you this tiny behavior is connected to millions of years of evolution, advanced sensory biology, whisker, neuroscience, survival instincts, and even something scientists call whisker stress? Because your kitten is not just being picky, your kitten may actually be following ancient biological programming designed to keep wildcats alive. And once you understand the hidden science behind this behavior, you will never look at your cat food bowl the same way again. If you live with a kitten or cat, you have probably seen at least one of these behaviors. They eat only from the center of the bowl. They leave food around the edges. They pull food out onto the floor before eating it. They paw at the bowl like they are trying to bury it. They suddenly stop eating, even though food is still there, or they seem to prefer wide plates over deep bowls. And if you are like most cat owners, you probably assumed your cat was just eccentric, because cats do have a reputation for being mysterious. But veterinarians and animal behaviorists have spent years studying these patterns, and the truth is fascinating. A lot of this behavior comes down to one thing. Your kitten experiences the world in a completely different sensory way than you do. What feels like an ordinary food bowl to you might feel deeply uncomfortable to your kitten. And the key to understanding why sits right on their face, those whiskers. Most people think whiskers are basically just thicker hairs, but they are not whiskers. Also called vibrissae, are actually highly specialized sensory tools. Each whisker is deeply rooted in tissue packed with nerves and blood vessels. In fact, whiskers are so sensitive that cats can detect tiny changes in air movement around objects. That means your kitten can sometimes sense nearby obstacles without even touching them. Imagine having fingertips so sensitive that you could feel the shape of a room through air pressure alone. That is close to what whiskers do. Scientists believe whiskers help cats measure spaces, detect movement, navigate in darkness, judge distances before jumping, sense prey, movement, protect the face and eyes, and monitor the environment constantly. For cats, whiskers are like a built-in radar system. And here is the important part. Those whiskers are extremely sensitive to repeated pressure, which brings us to the real reason. Many kittens only eat from the center of the bowl. There is a term many cat owners have heard online: whisker fatigue. Now, technically, some veterinarians debate whether fatigue is the perfect scientific term. Whiskers themselves do not get tired the way muscles do, but the discomfort associated with overstimulation is very real. Think about how annoying it feels when something lightly brushes your skin over and over again. Now imagine that sensation happening continuously on one of the most sensitive parts of your body. That is what can happen when a cat repeatedly presses its whiskers against the sides of a deep or narrow bowl. Every time the whiskers bend against the bowl, walls, sensory signals fire into the nervous system. For some cats, especially sensitive kittens, this constant stimulation may become stressful or irritating. So what do? They adapt. They begin eating only from the middle, where their whiskers touch the bowl less, or they avoid the edges entirely. Some cats even develop strategies like tilting their heads, awkwardly scooping food out with paws, eating tiny amounts at a time, walking away before the bowl is empty, or demanding food on a flat plate. Instead, your kitten is not being dramatic. They may literally be trying to avoid sensory overload. Interestingly, kittens may appear even more sensitive to this issue than adult cats, because kittens are still learning how to interpret the world. Everything is new: textures, sounds, smells, movements, and sensory input. A kitten nervous system is developing rapidly, and young cats often react strongly to unfamiliar sensations. That means repeated whisker contact with a bowl can become a very noticeable experience, especially during feeding, one of the most emotionally important activities in a cat life. Remember, in nature, eating is tied directly to survival. If something feels uncomfortable or unsafe while eating, animals pay attention very quickly. Your kitten brain is constantly forming associations. If the bowl feels unpleasant, your kitten may start developing unusual eating patterns around it. That is why some kittens prefer wide, shallow dishes, rotate around the bowl while eating, leave edge food untouched, or suddenly eat better when switched to a plate. To us, it looks random; to them,